In today's video, I'm excited to be back out in the woodland using my macro lens and flash to take images just like these.
I've only walked about 30 seconds into this wooded area and I'm already stopping because I found already quite a few little bugs around. There's a great shield bug here, there's a ladybird just down here. So I thought I'm just going to stop, get the camera out, see if I can start getting any shots. It is quite dark under here, as you can see. I've got my flash on my camera this time, which is quite unusual for me. Normally I prefer off camera, but it's just easier to shoot right now. And I've got my big diffuser on the front, and that is going to help soften that light, hopefully make it look a little bit more natural. But I'm just going to grab this leaf and just slightly turn it so I can get a nice angle on our friend here. It's okay, I think we can do better. Up my aperture a little bit to f8, increase my flash power to 1/4. Slightly up my ISO just to make my shots a little bit brighter, and I'm just gently holding the leaf because it's quite windy at the moment, so I'm just trying to make sure that it's not blowing out of frame too much. And hopefully I've got one photo there that I'm even slightly happy with. But I haven't really even begun to explore what's around here, so I'm going to move around and see what else I can find. Found loads of mushrooms all over this area right now, but one in particular, there's this little one growing off this log. I think it looks really sweet. So what I'm going to do is handheld, essentially handheld, but just lay the camera on this log. So I'm going to shoot this natural light, but I really want a very shallow depth of field. So I'm going to be at f2.8. I'm going to be at shutter speed of 1/25th of a second, and I'm manually focusing this, starting off right on the front of the mushroom's cap and then focusing slightly further away on the back part of it. And now I'm going to focus again on the stalk, and hopefully that's going to be enough for me to blend those shots together and get the mushroom nicely enough in focus, but still keeping that lovely shallow depth of field all around it. Really glad to be back out, because I've actually been traveling for pretty much all of September. So this is the first time I've actually been out in the field with my macro gear since probably mid-August. Obviously, in the height of summer, there's not always loads of macro things going on. A lot of the plants are starting to wilt, but we're a little too early for things like mushrooms and berries and some of the other insects that feed on them. And right now it's the beginning of October, and some of these things are just starting to come out, starting to get some mushrooms. We're starting to get some more interesting things to shoot, particularly because we've had quite a lot of rain here recently, so it's really encouraging a lot of growth. And that is one of my favorite things about macro photography, is that it changes always throughout the year. Every time you come out, you'll find something different to shoot, and that can just be weeks apart. Certainly if it's months apart, like it has been for me, everything has changed. That's why I find it such an exciting genre of photography to shoot. But I'm still keeping things quite simple today. I don't really want to be doing elaborate setups. I'm just sort of scouting around this area that I'm walking through, seeing what I can find, seeing what's starting to come out, and maybe over the next week I can come out, try something a little bit more in depth. But even as I'm sitting here, I'm noticing quite a few little mushrooms and little things to shoot, so I'm going to stop talking and actually take some more photos. Love this one here, so I'm getting my camera really down in the grass, again trying to really maximize that shallow depth of field, give it a really nice out of focus blurry background so that the mushroom really stands out in the scene. So I'm f2.8, 200th of a second, zooming in on its cap. I'm just going to move the camera around and trying to find a better spot, something like this maybe. Just going to push these leaves down I'm not picking them, I'm just slightly rearranging them. I think this looks good. Again, manually focusing on that cap. And normally it'd be a great time of year to be looking out for all kinds of autumnal bugs and insects and things on all the leaves. But as you can probably hear, you might be able to hear, it is incredibly windy today, and all of these leaves have been blowing really, really hard. So what I think is happening is that the insects are kind of taking refuge in places where they're not likely to get blown away. I think that's very sensible of them, to be honest. So although I have seen a few shield bugs, ladybirds, that kind of thing, I'm not really seeing a whole lot more right now. Ah, there's one here though. Hi little friend. Let's do natural light, ISO 500, 60th of a second. I don't like it. Maybe if I get my flash. Thankfully it is being quite patient while I take these shots, which is good because I'm not really getting anything I like so far. Really get on its level. My flash is a bit high. It's sort of spoiling the look for me a little bit. So I've got it on manual focus now. Quite a close focusing point, and I'm just moving it in until I get the eye in focus. Because it's really struggling to get focus on the eye. It's just focusing on the back, when really it's the eye that's important. Using burst mode. Oh, that's better. Again, it is still really windy. When a wind gust comes through, it's going. Speaking of going, it's gone. Well, hopefully I got one shot out of that anyway. It's just mooching about in this bit of the undergrowth, and I found these, I assume they're eggs of some kind, of some insect or fly or something, but they look really, really interesting. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me what these are eggs of, but they're just here in this bit of dirt. I think I might have displaced a rock or something. They look really, really interesting. And I don't necessarily think they're going to make for the best photo ever, but they're definitely worth a photo. There's a bit of something that's just dropped in it. There we go. So manually focused again. I'm going to go F5, increase the power of my flash. No, I'm going to F8 actually. And the flash really helps here because it catches so nicely on the eggs themselves, because they are sort of white and translucent, so they bounce that light back really nicely, but the dirt all around them stays nice and dark. So it looks like I've got a lot more control over my flash than I actually have. I think that's really cool. I've never photographed something like that before. Definitely of an insect of some kind, but yeah, I really don't know what. So if anyone knows what sort of insect lays translucent little eggs in clusters in the ground, and do please let me know. Oh, it's so nice to be back out, and it is not just because the season has changed and we've got more things going on. It's just so great to be able to actually pick up my camera and come out and just spend the time looking for photos again. Really, every time I come out into nature to look for macro shots, I always come back feeling so energized, feeling so excited about my photography again. And of course that helps if I actually find some interesting things to photograph, like the mushrooms today, like those eggs. And that's not always the case. And of course it's more difficult to feel creative and feel inspired if you keep on not getting the photos you want. But today's been good, and it's definitely left me with a lot of hope for the shots that I can get later on in the season. But that does bring me to an end of today's video. So if you have enjoyed it, then do please hit that like button, and of course consider subscribing to my channel if you don't already, and I will see you next time.